Okay, this is section 3.2. This is problem number 1. This whole graph is just basically reading this graph that's given here, and a lot of times you'll be given x values and asked for y values, or you will be asked for questions about this particular graph. So this is sort of your reference for this whole exercise here. The first problem here, A, is to find f of negative 28 and f of negative 8. Well, this is the x value, so you go over to where negative 28 is. Go down, find the point on the graph. This is the point we're referring to, negative 28. That's the x, and it's asking for the y value, so the answer is negative 2. F of negative 8, you go to negative 8, and you look for its point. It's right up here. These are the coordinates of that point. When x is negative 8, y is 2. A similar situation here, f of 24, so we go to the positive side 24, we read up and we find the corresponding y to be 2. F of 0, this is where x is 0. You hit right down here. These are the coordinates of that point. When x is 0, y is negative 1. Then it asks you for f of 8, is it positive or negative? Well, you go to where 8, x is 8. The point is 8, negative 2. So f of 8 is referring to the y, and the y is negative. Then the next one is f of negative 8. And you want to know whether it's positive or negative. So we go to negative 8, and we read up to the point. That's its coordinates for you. So when x is negative 8, y is 2. So f of negative 8 is a positive value. And for what values of x does f of x equal 0? What is that referring to? That's where the points are on the x-axis. If f of x equals 0, that means that y is 0. So you want these 3 points that fall directly on the x-axis. Here, x is negative 4. And notice y is 0. Is negative 24 here. Excuse me. This is negative 24. That's the first one. Negative 4 would be the second one, and 16 would be the third one. Those are your 3 values where f of x is equal to 0. And of course, if you needed to write it as ordered pairs, I've given you how to do that. Then it asks you for what values is f of x greater than 0. That simply means where is the graph above the x-axis. Greater than 0 means above the x-axis. Well, at negative 24, it's on the x-axis, and when x continues on until x gets to negative 4, it is above the x-axis. So at negative 24 and at negative 4, negative 24 to negative 4, it is greater than 0. The last little part over here for the second part is the tricky part. It starts at 16, it is 0, and it ends at 24. And since it is greater than 0 at 24, you have a bracket. It is 0 at negative 24, negative 4, and 16. But your question is, where is it greater than? So that's the reason for the bracket there. Then it says, how often does the line y equals 1 intersect the graph? Well, let's go up here and imagine the line y equals 1. Y equals 1 would be a line that would cross between 0 and 2. So it hits it 1, 2, 3 times. That's a horizontal line, and it would hit that graph 3 times. And then it says, how often does the line x equals 4 intersect the graph? Well, that is the vertical line where all values are 4. And so if we go to where x is equal to 4, this is the line right here at 4, vertical line, and it only hits the graph right there 1 time. Then you got a few more questions, and I've redone the graph again. What is the domain? The lowest x value is negative 28, and then you've got x's all along here till you get to positive 24. That's the interval notation, and this is the inequality notation. The endpoints are included because they're darkened. The range, the lowest y that you have is at negative 2, and the highest y you have is at 3. So you're reading from negative 2 to positive 3 for your range. That's in interval and the inequality. Your x-intercepts are the same thing as where the function equals 0. Your x-intercept is negative 24, negative 4, and 16. Those 3 points that fall on the x-axis. Your y-intercept, of course, would be where it crosses the y-axis. This is the point right here. Your y-intercept, x is 0 and y is negative 1. How often does the line y equals 1 intersect the graph? Y equals 1 intersects 3 times. And how often does the line x equals 4 is only 1 time. Then it says for what values of x does f of x equal negative 2? For what values of x does f of x equal negative 2? So you want to know where y is negative 2. This happens at 8 and a negative 28. So negative 28 and 8. And for what values of x does f of x equal 3? Okay, where does f of x, y, where does it equal 3? Y is 3 right here, and the corresponding x is negative 12. All right, kind of a detailed reading of the graph. Not hard, but just a detailed reading. Just be careful.